I was in Jamaica a while back with my brother, and we put together this video called Rediscover the Rubik's Cube. You can check it out later. It's in the library of videos. And pretty much we rediscovered, we re-examined the cube. He completed it. He showed other techniques with like creating design and so forth. And I made a vow, I made a promise that I was going to learn the steps and come back and teach you guys. Guess what? I am now ready.
Check. Huh. Some program where them have no reach. Christine, you think classic, it classic. Out the road them a chat it say. Your program well classic. People can't wait for go watch it, yeah. You think classic, it classic. Your style MC cosmetic, yeah.
Hello everyone, it's Christine G. I'm back. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. If this is your first time here, please make sure you go below and subscribe, and also click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I post new content. To everyone in general, I want you to like and share this video, and most importantly, please leave a comment, feedback, ask any questions below so I could know exactly what you're thinking and what you need more of, okay? Now, if you know me well, you will know my love, my obsession with the Rubik's Cube. I always have one with me. When I travel, it's in my luggage. There is one by my nightstand in the bedroom, and there is one in my car. You name it, I have one everywhere so I could practice. I've searched the internet, high and low, to find a technique to effectively complete the Rubik's Cube. But I have been unsuccessful. I don't know, is it just me, or are there other people out there who are having this issue? Now, the most common technique that's found on the internet, they consist of an algorithm where they have a sequence of steps. I think it's 21 steps to complete the cube. I don't know, for some strange reason, I'm having a hard time comprehending this. And I think it's because I don't understand why. I don't know the why I'm making those particular sequences or 21 steps, whatever you might call it. So I am not bashing the algorithm. I'm just saying I think the algorithm gives you speed and all that with completing the cube. But for me, being a kinesthetic learner, I want something simple that gives me the hand, the eye, and the brain connection. Guess what? I am now ready. Wayne has this really cool technique. He calls it moving colors. And it's pretty much just like how it sounds. Very simple, effective technique of completing the Rubik's Cube. I'm the one who loves teaching. Let's go! Ground rules before we start. 1, invest in a cube. A simple 3x3 cube. This you could pick up at any Target, or you could just simply go on Amazon and purchase one, okay? My advice, purchase more than one. Purchase at least 3. The more cubes you have, you just work, then you switch to the next, then you switch to the next. It gives you continuity and flow. And number 2, 3 basic requirements. And you gotta have a combination of all 3 before you continue on this journey with me. For 1, practice. You have to practice what I'm teaching you. And when I say practice, I mean you have to get up, you have to do it in the morning, then do it again later on at night. And just any spare moment you have to practice so it becomes second nature to you. Number 2, you need determination. That's gonna help you get through this process. And 3, you need patience. All 3 required to get guaranteed success. So let's talk about scrambling the cube. You scramble the cube when you have finished completing a side, or you've completed the entire cube, and then you want to start over again. Let's say for part 1, which is what we're going to do today, this is a completed side or face of the cube. So right now this is completed. If I only had 1 cube and I wanted to go back to attempt the same sequence, I would have to do what's called a scramble of the cube. So this is what it is. Let's get familiar with the cube. You have 6 side or faces. Okay, now let's examine a side. This one side, or each side, has 1, 2, 3, 4 corner pieces. Okay, so that's that. In between each corner piece is a middle piece. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And each middle piece only has 2 colors. Right? And this is important because in keeping with the name of this technique, moving colors, you know, you need to know the location of the piece and how many colors, because technically with part 1 you're going to be switching one color out for the next. All right, and then you have the centerpiece, and this leads us to the orientation of the cube. The centerpiece determines what color this face will be when it's completed. But as for orientation of the cube, we normally start with the white being made the top of the cube. So this will be the top of the cube, and once you have white being the top of the cube, yellow will always be the base. So once you know the top of the cube, which is the white, you're going to orient your cube like that in your hands. Okay? So once you're oriented with how to hold the cube, you need to know how to make your moves. Going this way, I call these columns. Going across like that, I call that a row. Just know that your cube, you can move this side or this column up and down. You could go in that direction. You could go in that direction. This side over here, you could move just the same. Just make sure that you're keeping this oriented up as you're doing it. If you wanted to move this middle one, it doesn't really move independently. So every time you try to move this middle column, you always tend to move these two together, and then you bring that one back up to where it was. So it's always, you know, like that. Okay? Now let's look at how we move the rows. If you want to move the top row, you hold these bottom two, and then you could move that like that. If you want to move the bottom one, the bottom row, you hold the two top ones and move it like that. If you want them to move the middle row, it's the same as moving the middle column. It doesn't move by itself. You sort of have to stabilize at the top and then grab these two and move them together like that. Okay? Moving colors, part 1 of 8. With part 1, the goal is to complete the top face of the cube. And this would be the finished product. So let's get started. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our scrambled cube and we're going to search for the central white cube. So I get my alignment in place. So this determines how I'm going to hold the cube. This is the top and the yellow would be at the bottom. The next step is to try to find the other white faces to put in all these spots that have different colors. So what we're going to do for starters, we're just going to move this side of the cube up and down to see if there's any white available. Then you're going to turn this side around to see how many we have. We have one here. I would rather, for starters, start with one that has two. All right. And then we turn and do the same there. And you pretty much just move around the cube like that to get as many in there before you start your actual search. All right. So right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I only need 4 white pieces. Now the game begins. We're going to search the different faces to see where the white cubes are. And we're starting with a very, very difficult one. This white is already at the top. So the name of the sequencing is called moving colors. So this is going to be very hard for us to move a color that's already stuck. The one that we want to move is already stuck on where we want it to go. So the rule of the game is you're going to bring this one down, bring this column down, and remember, let me go back up. Bring it down. This column has to go with it because I can't move this independently. So what you want to do is you want to put that one back up. All right. Once I'm here, let's figure out what happened to the white that was in the front. It's now showing up underneath. So what I'm going to do is if I bring this back up, if I bring this back up, it's just going to put this white one back where we were. So I'm going to turn this white one so it goes in the back of this vertical column and watch what's going to happen. It's going to put it in the back of this column and then I'm going to rotate this back up and always bring this one back. All right. See, the white now appeared at the bottom. So this is easy because I'm lined up with the one that this was up here and now it's in a position for me to trade colors or move colors around. All right. So the goal is to put this white where the red is. So what I'm going to do is it's already lined up for success. Once you find it lined up for success, you keep that face of the cube facing you, and then you can do the transaction. All right. So you're going to move this white one out of the way. Then you're going to bring this down. Remember, this got to go with it. So once you bring it down, always put this back where it was, or the original spot. See the white one we moved out of the way back here? Now we could hold here, bring it in place, and now we could bring it back up. Notice what happens every time we move this this middle row. This one tends to move. So you always have to remember to bring it back into orientation or to the original oriented space. Okay? Now, let's keep moving around. So we have 3 left. Let's figure out where those white pieces are. Whoa, look. We have the same situation here. I like that because it gives you a little bit of practice. All right. So this one is in a position where we can't really do any trades. So we're going to have to put this one in the bottom so we could trade with something on top. So remember how we did that? We're going to bring the middle piece down and it's coming down with its companion, this end column here. So we're going to hold and bring that one back up. Once we bring this down, it's going to push this white one in the front. And then we're going to turn the white one to the back of the middle column. So it's lined up in the back. So when we bring this middle column back up and bring this other one back into orientation, the white appears in front. This is lined up for success. So we're going to hold the cube this direction facing us. All right, hold here, move this out of the way for a switch to occur. Bring this back up. Never forget to do that, guys. Good. Bring this back up, but because this cannot travel alone, this got rotated backwards, so we got to bring it back to where it belongs. Okay, so let's see where the white pieces are. They're not on any of the sides. They're in the bottom. So now we have one that's all the way here in the back of this column. If I pull this up, look what happens. It brings it up in the back. I don't like that position. You want to bring it so it lands somewhere in the bottom row down here. So let's go back up. And I'm going to show you how you're going to do that. Whenever you have a piece in the back, you're going to twist it so that it comes to the front, right? So when you bring this down, look what happens. It moves it to the back. So once you have it in the back, you could always move it around and then you go back up. And that's okay, because now that you have this in the bottom row, you just have to find a spot where you could do an equal transfer of color. Normally, if it's like this, you would transfer with the one above. But right now, this is white already, so we don't need to do a transfer. So look at what you would do. You move it around. It's here and it's facing you, so you could do a transfer from here to there. Doesn't need to be done. This is already transferred. Move it around. You could transfer from here to here, but this is already replaced, so it doesn't make any sense. So you keep moving around, facing you. The white, this is a perfect. You could move and trade this white for that yellow. What are you going to do now that you've set up for a successful trade? You're going to move this out of the way. You move that over there and you go back up. So you got that one in. We got one more left. Let's figure out where it is. We know it's on the bottom and it's right there. Now, do you guys know where I need to line this cube on the bottom? In, front or back, to get it in this row? How do we line it up? We line it up in. We line it up in the front. All right, once you line it up in the front, look what happens. Before you look, we got to push this one back up. Never forget that. Look what happens. It brings it in the back. So all we got to do now is swing it around and we have it. There we go. All right, guys, another practice scenario for you, because what did I say is needed to be successful? Practice. So I'm showing you as many different scenarios as possible so you could get the hang of it. All right. So moving colors part 1, the goal is to complete this side and replace all these colors with white. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to move the column for starters to try to fill in, see how many white is available once we start fixing. All right. So I think that might be it. So we have this one. This one is set up in a position where you would think that you would want to trade with the one on top, but there's already a white there. So all you need to do is just move this to another position where you could make a successful trade. Yes, there's a green here, so you could definitely switch this white and into that green spot. How do we do that? We're going to move it out of the way, bring this down, bring this back, bring this back up. Also, guys, it's very important. If you find a side that's like checkered with multiple whites, try and focus. Just work with one white at a time and don't get confused about others that might be present. Take them down one at a time. Before I go any further, look, there is a middle white that is set up in a good spot because I could trade this white for that green. I'm glad I got this actual example because all I need to do is just move this out of the way. Notice I had to move both the middle and the bottom because I can't move the middle independently. You see what I'm saying? So once I do that, I'm going to hold that together, pull this down. Look what's going to happen now. I'm going to move this back. But remember, I had a white here. So I got to swing this back into place and move this back up. Now I have another white here. So this would easily replace any color other than white that would have been here. But for this case, it's already solved. So all we need to do is just move this around to another face to find another middle cube that doesn't have white. And this is perfect. This one has an orange. So I'm going to take this out of the way to make the transaction occur. I'm going to move that back and move that back up. So we're down to 2 spots. Okay, so let's keep searching. There is no white here. There is no white here. And look, there's a white here. The way how it's set up, a white's already here. So let's move it around. The way how this is set up, there's already a white here. So there is no switch that needs to be made there. I'm moving this one here. Oops, there's a green here. So I could easily pop this one there by doing a switch. What do? Move this out of the way, move this down, move that down, and good. And our final step, guys, is this. This is in a spot where it's not feasible to do a moving color or a trade of a color. We have to get this one out of the top row and put it in the bottom row somewhere. So how are we going to accomplish that? Move this down. There we go, right? Where are we going to put this white now that it's on the bottom? So when we move it, it flips up in the bottom. We're going to turn it to the back. All right. So once we do that, bring it back, bring this one back in position. We have it in the front. So this is like setting you up for success because now you could easily move this white into that blue spot. How do we do that, right? Just move it away so that when you move this middle column, it's not in the way. I prefer to go left because when you move this middle column, this side tends to go. So I'm going to do that and that, put that there, and now we have it. Moving along, let's start over again. So find your central white cube to align the cube in perfect position. This is the top, yellow at the bottom, okay? We're gonna turn around to get as many, whoa, we got all 3 filled out right there. We're gonna keep turning the column around to get as many whites as possible. And I think that might be our best bet for now. Now, we have a lot of whites on the side. Let's start with this one. So facing us, this white can be an even trade for this white for that orange. So what am I going to do? We're going to move this out of the way. We're going to bring this down, and then we're going to move that over, and then we're going to bring this back up. All right, look, we have a central white. Normally, you know, you would think that because it's here, you could trade this white for, oops, there's a white here. So this one doesn't need to be traded. It's a middle cube. It's a middle mini cube. So that means you could only trade for another middle cube, either that one, which both are taken, or that one and that one. So let's turn this around so we could set it up with this one. So we could definitely switch this one out. So move it out of the way, bring this down. Good. There you have it. Now we only have 2 left. All right, so here we have, this seems to happen a lot where the white is stuck at the top. Now the goal is to get it somewhere in the bottom. And how are we gonna do that? Do you guys remember? We're gonna bring this down. And then once you bring it down, in order to get it up in the back, now it's in the front, we're gonna have to move it to the back. You see what I'm saying? So when I move it to the back, look what happens. It brings it up in the front. So now there is an empty space here that needs a white. So it's already aligned up facing me. So we just got to switch this white for this yellow. So we're going to move it out of the way. Take this one down. There you have it. We got one more. Let's find that white missing piece. There's none here. There's none there. There's none there. There's none there. Now we have the white on the bottom. So how are we going to fit this white up in there? How are we going to do that, guys? Let's look again under the bottom. We have this one there. How are we going to do that? Now, I'm going to show you 2 techniques. You have to really remember how to do this. Look what happens if I leave it in the back. If I move this down, let's see what happens to the white. It comes up here. So it makes no sense to leave it in the back. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back down. We're going to bring it back and start over again. I just want to show you what would happen if, and show you when it's in the wrong space. So it's in the back. So technically, it's better when you move it in the front. You see what I'm saying? So now it's lined up here. Watch what happens. So I bring this down. Always remember to bring this back up. Let's see where that white that was on the bottom went. See? It's in the perfect spot, guys. And all we have to do is just swing it around. And there you have it. Pretty interesting, huh? Yeah, so that's the first part. Practice in completing that first white side. And what's really important is for you to get the cubes, get at least 3, and just scramble them and try to complete one side on each back to back to back, you know, and keep doing that. And once you've mastered completing that white side, what you need to do, finish the white, then you go to the blue side, complete all the blues. Finish the blue, then you go to the yellow, and so forth. And that will be even more challenging. Try this for a week and see how you do. Any questions you have, please leave them in the comment section, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. For now, please take care, walk good, and remember, everything classic. Take care. Christine G, out.